Hi everyone. Thanks for joining us today for this installment of Build Your Simulation Moldflow IQ. Today, as you can see, we are going to talk about a few discussion points that we in support see very often. So these are kind of the top support cases that we've found through working with users like yourselves. So today it'll be myself, Kristen Kilroy, and Tschappat, which some of you may have worked with before, as well as behind the scenes we have Jay Shoemaker and our newest addition to the support team, Javier Kuberi, and they'll be helping out with any questions in the background. And as you can see, there is a question box, so if we're going through any of the topics today, feel free to add any questions in there and we'll either answer them behind the scenes or live. And today's presentation will be available for download as well as it's being recorded through our YouTube channel. So the link below shows where you can get the slide deck, and then we'll continue on to the next page to find the YouTube link. All right, so again, welcome to the webinar. Some of you are frequent webinar attendees, so thank you for coming back and joining us. And a few of you are new today, so welcome, and I hope you're able to, or anxious to learn more about these webinars. Basically what they are maybe 30 to 40 minute presentation or demo on some topics that we feel that users are looking for more information on. So in this case, what we're doing today is the troubleshooting, but some of the future ones are API configuration, as well as understanding warpage and shrinkage in Moldflow. And a couple of the past webinars are SimStudio tools and the matching simulation to reality, And as mentioned, the YouTube channel listed there, the Autodesk Sim 360, that lists both the Moldflow webinars, past ones, and we will be uploading this one after this one's presented. And it also includes our other Autodesk simulation products as well. And if you're not registered for the entire series for these webinars and are interested, say you got the link from one of your colleagues, you can register at one of the links there, such as the forums or the Sim Hub. Now within support, we deal with a lot of questions on how-tos or errors within the simulations, or just general kind of how Moldflow calculates things. So what we've been trying to do lately is share that knowledge with users such as yourselves. And through our website, knowledge.autodesk.com, we share these articles on causes and solutions to errors or how to use a certain feature and so forth. So listed there are the past month some of the newer articles that we've created, and listed down below is a link for our general troubleshooting articles. And now what I'm going to do is go ahead and pass it off to Kate, and she'll begin with the troubleshooting discussion. Kate?
All right, thanks Kristen, and welcome everybody. So yes, as Kristen mentioned, we are going to go through the top 5 support issues today, some troubleshooting tips and tricks, a summary of what we've covered, and then additional resources that might be useful. I do want to point out the support issues that we gather today, as we have discussed previously and in other webinars. We post these articles to our Autodesk Knowledge Network. We then are able to run a report. So from that report, we picked out the top 5 support issues that we encountered. So with that, we'll go ahead and jump into it. So the first one is the Job Manager Connect failed. I'm sure many people have run into this issue. So today, Kristen and I are going to be jumping back and forth from PowerPoint to demoing. So we're going to actually walk through how to set that up, opening ports, which is generally why we get this connect failed issue. And so with that, I will be playing the customer, and Kristen is going to walk me through how to do this.
All right. And as we mentioned earlier, we do create those knowledge articles. So what we're going to talk about today is actually included in one of these articles that we'll reference to at the end of the presentation. So if you missed something through our steps right now, those links will be available at the end of this presentation.
Alrighty.
Okay. So I see there that Kate has a server set up. The server name, address listed there. Basically, when you're setting up a job server, the first thing you want to take a look at is to, I know it sounds a little kind of funny, but check to make sure it's the same name as your server. In the past, I've seen users with an extra character here or there, and that causes them to not be able to connect properly. So, Kate, is that the correct server there?
Yep, that is the one I would like to point to.
All right, so if you're seeing the connect failed error, typically, as Kate mentioned, it's related to the firewall ports. So since this is a newer installation of Moldflow, it doesn't sound like those were set up. So let's run through it together and set those up. First thing we want to do is go over to your Start menu, which I think it's on another screen for her.
Yeah, apologies, guys.
No worries. Navigate to the control panel, and from there you want to open up your system and security, and then the firewall. And in there you want to just open the advanced settings, and once you get there, it'll pop up with a window shown on Kate's screen there. Now, from that, it looks a little intimidating, but it's actually pretty simple. So what we actually need to do is open up ports for this version of Simulation Moldflow. Between releases, they actually change the port numbers. So what we'll do is, I don't know, Kate, do you have that help page open?
Let's see here.
If not, we can pull that up here.
Yeah, it doesn't look like I do have that open up.
All right. Yeah, so if you're not sure of which port numbers to use for your version of Moldflow, say you're using a past version, not the 2016 version like the one we're going to work with today, but if you do want to know and you're curious, open up the help files in Moldflow, and it's shown in that question mark circle there that Kate's pointing to, and basically just run a search for firewall, and it'll pop up as that first one there. And what it'll do is tell you which ports will be needed for that. So there we go.
All right. I'm just going to drag that down so I can have it off to the side.
Perfect. All right, so back to the firewall window. What we need to do is open both inbound and outbound roles. So let's start with the inbound roles and click on the inbound roles, yep, and on the right-hand side, new role. There we go. All right, so you see a window like this, and sorry, what was that, Kate?
I'm just going to readjust this so you can better see my screen.
Okay.
Sorry.
No worries. All right. So basically, whenever we go through and create that firewall, the firewall numbers listed in that help file are what you want to link to. So in this page here that Kate's bringing up again, it'll show what do you want to create. Basically, we want to click the port number there. Yep.
Okay.
And then go ahead and click Next.
Oh, this is not working out as planned. Go figure, technology, huh? So, sorry about this, everybody. This is not how it went earlier when we were practicing, but I guess we'll just go back and forth. So go ahead.
Okay. So here it shows the TCP and UDP options. So first we'll start with the TCP because we'll have to open up the other one later. But we'll go ahead and enter in the same number that's listed in the help file there for the 2016 version. So that's 20331 for the TCP. And then from there, just click Next. All right. And here you want to just confirm that it says allow the connection, and then go ahead and click Next. And then this option here just allows you to kind of control where you want these roles to be regulated. So if you're a little weary about using your computer in the public, or your company is a little strict on safety features or safety of your computer, then you might want to uncheck the public box there. But for now, we'll just leave all those checked and go ahead and click Next.
One second. For the sake of the demo, I'm going to switch my screen for back and forth measures. Really apologize about that, everyone, but thank you for your patience.
All right, that's better. We can see it all there.
Good.
Okay, so this final page here is just listing kind of details for you on how to identify it in the future. So really you want to give it a descriptive name such as 2016 Moldflow TCP or something similar to that, just so you know what it's linking to. And finish up. All right, and now if you look in that window on the top of that list in the center there, it's showing the TCP that we just created. So basically what we're going to do is go through that same procedure for the UDP, so the other port that we need to open. And go ahead and click New Role. Port, yep. And Next. And here you want to switch it over to UDP like Kate just did. And then we're going to type in the help file, or the number listed next to the UDP in the help file, which is 2102 for 2016. And then confirm it says allow connection. Perfect. And again with these, and you know, these can always be changed afterwards, so if you're not sure about that other public option, feel free to check with your IT department on that, and they can help you out there. All right, click Next. And again, we'll give it a descriptive name. Instead of the TCP this time, we'll put in 2016 Moldflow UDP. All right. And there we can see the 2016. So you might think you're done there, but actually we have to do the same procedure for the outbound roles. So go ahead and click Outbound and New Role over on the right. And again, this will be the identical process, so we can kind of skim through it. Go ahead, Kate. TCP 20331. Yep. And you got to watch at these because the outbound roles, they tend to default to the block connection. So what you want to do is just switch it over to the allow connection. There we go. And go ahead, click Next. And for this, we can have the same name as the inbound roles if you want, just to keep it separate like that, because they are in two separate folders there. And we'll repeat it again for the UDP. And after we do that, that should be good to go.
Can you read me the...
And 2102. And again, allow. Perfect. So it's fairly simple to add these. What you might run into, depending on your company's security, you might run into permissions issues when you're running through that. So it could be a good idea to get your IT department involved if they're able to grant you access to it, or if they need to run through it themselves, they can always take a look at that. All right, from there you can go ahead and close out of that firewall setting or firewall window.
Okay. One thing that I do just want to point out and note is that it's important to remember to set it up, these firewall ports on the machine that you want to point to. So for today, we're just opening the ports up on the laptop that we're looking at now, but it's just keep that in the back of your mind moving forward.
Yep, so you'll need it on your server, which she has already set up on her server, and so once we set up this on her computer now, we should be good to go to connect to Synergy now.
Alrighty.
And you can go ahead and close out of that. Yep. And from there, go back to Synergy, yep. And we'll take a look at the job manager again just to see if that worked. What you might have to do in some cases, you might have to do a restart of your computer. And what that does is just resets the firewalls in there. So and the connect field is gone. Yep.
So you can see here that it says running and scheduled. One thing that I like to check is open up the log file, just to make sure. I have noticed when you first set up your job server, it will take a couple minutes to recognize and move forward into the analysis phase. Are there any questions about this?
It doesn't look like any came in. Reminder, everyone can always shoot in a couple questions if they have any in that question box. So I guess we can go ahead and move on to that next topic here.
All right, yeah, for the sake of time, because I can verify this does run as we've tried it.
Yep.
A couple times.
And as Kate mentioned, it's taking a while to load the log file there just because it is transferring to another server. So sometimes it takes a few seconds or a minute or so to get that log to start generating.
Alrighty, do you see my PowerPoint again?
Yep.
Great. So yeah, the next thing that we will jump into is performing a clean registry. And again, Kristen will walk us through how to do that. It's fairly simple. The most common issue that I have actually seen with this, and Kristen, you can probably speak to this as well, is when you're running a fill analysis and you go into the plot properties and you have selected red to blue, which I believe is the default. However, when you animate through the analysis itself, it's going blue to red. The quickest and first thing to try would be to run a clean registry. What this does is it defaults your settings back to the default settings of Moldflow without actually having to uninstall and reinstall the software. So it takes only a few minutes, and we can run through that right now if you'd like.
Yeah, let's go ahead and run through that.
Alrighty. So I'll wait for your instruction on this one.
Okay. And we are still seeing the PowerPoint here?
Right.
Okay, so as Kate mentioned, the Clean Reg is fairly simple to run, and it's available for all the Moldflow main products such as Advisor, Synergy, and even Insight. So there are two different ones for both Synergy and Insight. But since Kate mentioned the issue of the results displaying incorrectly or displaying strangely, that kind of leads us to believe that it would be more in the Synergy, the user interface issues rather than the Insight one. So we'll focus on that one right now. So what we want to do is just open up Windows Explorer as Kate has and go ahead into your computer. So and then the C drive. And from there we're going to go into Program Files and then go into the Autodesk folder. Now this would be the same for if you want to run the Clean Reg for Insight or Synergy or even Advisor. So it would be the same process of kind of navigating through each of those folders, but right here is where you would kind of break off between the different product folders. So we'll go ahead into Moldflow Synergy 2016 folder, and then into the BIN folder. And here you see a ton of different file names, and for each of the different products it'll be slightly different, but even if you wanted to search through it, you can click in the search folder up there, box up there, yeah, and even type in clean, and that should pop up with it. But if you want to scroll down for Synergy, it'll be called Synergy Clean Reg.exe. And like Kate mentioned, it's basically an executable file that takes maybe less than a second to run, and it'll pop up with the command prompt and show you or ask you if you want to delete all the default settings. So go ahead and launch that, Kate, and we'll see how that shows up for us. All right, so it looks a little alarming because that box is blank in there, but once you click yes to deleting your personal settings, that'll kind of generate with some stuff. Now, as Kate mentioned, deleting the personal settings would be deleting, say, your reference to your personal database and things like that that might have been customized. Certain settings within customizing your ribbon would also be reset. So before you run this, you just want to make sure that you take note of what you've customized, just in case you want to reset it back to how it was. So go ahead and click yes. And you notice it doesn't really come up with anything, it just kind of disappears. But basically what that did was just delete anything that could have gotten corrupted and causing that fill result display issue. So go ahead, if you launch Synergy from here, what it'll actually show is kind of out-of-the-box settings and everything's set to normal, and there's where you can re-import your part, check your results again, and see if that had fixed the issue, which it should in this case.
Right. Thanks for walking us through that, Kristen. I appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. Happy to help.
That's the spirit. All right.
And again, like I said, the different files are just named differently. So Insight would be Insight Clean Reg, and Advisor would be ADV Clean Reg, I believe. But you can kind of get the gist of it from that.
Yeah. Real quickly, I just wanted to let everybody know, too, that the analysis completed after we set up our job manager previously. So, yay. All right.
Great.
Yeah.
It worked.
Of course it did. All right, so we'll jump back into the PowerPoint. Can you see that, Kristen?
I can.
Awesome. All right, the next one we're going to talk to is whenever you go to launch Moldflow and you receive this, it just stays on the splash screen. Kristen's a little bit more familiar with this one. I haven't experienced it too often, so she must be the lucky one that gets to work with this sort of issue anyway. So I'll let her talk to it a little bit more, and I'm sure we'll all learn something new here. So go ahead, Kristen.
I wouldn't say I see it more often, but I've seen it once or twice.
Okay.
No, this is one of our, it's not necessarily just on this, but kind of the work behind it, behind resolving this, could be applicable to other kind of hang-ups. So if you're launching Moldflow and you see the splash screen, but it's not really doing anything after that, basically what that could be is permissions behind the scenes. So for Moldflow, it's very permissions oriented. You need read and write access to the project directory, the installation directory, as well as the temporary folders. So if any of those are set to a location where you really don't have access to it, you might have to go in and either change that directory manually through the RegEdit tool, or if it's the project directory, you can change that within the product. So I don't know, Kate, do you want to run through that real quick, or do you want to at least show them where we can find that RegEdit for it?
Yeah, we can. Either I can do that, or if you want to swap screens and run through that, you tell me.
Okay. Yeah, I can see if I can pull my screen up here. Apologies for the delay here. Oops. All right, can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Okay. So right now I just have my desktop up, but basically what we want to do is just go into your start menu here and type in RegEdit, so RegEdit. And you can see there it lists a program called regedit.exe. Now this is another permissions one, so as you can see it warns me because I do have admin rights, I'm able to edit it, but it just kind of pops that up to make me aware that it is changing the background references for my programs. So I'll go ahead and click yes just to bring it up here. And you can see it kind of brings, we'll just start here, kind of brings a list of HKey folders here within your computer. Now, like I said, this is permissions oriented, so you might have to ask your IT department to assist you with this. Or, if you're on support, give us a call and we'll help you walk through it. So basically what we want to do is take a look in the HKey local machine folder. And from there, we want to go to the software folder and then Autodesk. So I've got a lot of Autodesk products on my system. You probably won't have as many as me, but you never know. Some users have as many products as I might have. But really what we're looking for is whichever program you're running. So in this case, we'll just run through a Synergy one. Say we're having problems and the splash screen is hanging whenever I launch Synergy 2016. So what I want to do is just navigate to the Synergy folder here, 2016 version, and then go to the Environment tab. So after that, this is intimidating, so we won't look at this left-hand side anymore. We'll take a focus on this center section here. Basically, these are just references on where the program's really looking for files. So you can see here what we're going to focus on is the MFSYN home and then the MFSYN TMP folder. So basically what this is the project directory, or excuse me, the install directory, and then the temporary folder. So you can see here that if you try clicking here, I'm trying to click it, nothing's happening. What you have to do to edit any of these folders is to right-click the name of it and click Modify. And from there, you're able to change these around. So if I wanted to change this install directory somewhere else, I really don't want to touch this right now. Main one would be the temporary folder, just to make sure you have access to the location it's pulling. So here it's just pulling from my C drive into the temporary directory folder. And we can just pull this up real quick just to show kind of where it's pulling it from. And see right here, listed in my C drive, all the temporary folders for my Moldflow products. So that's where it's pulling to. You want to make sure basically that you have read and write access to this folder. Typically, users should have access to their C drive, but I've seen cases where they really haven't, or the temporary folders were created under a different drive that the user might not have access to, and that's really where the splash screen issue comes from. Any questions on that? Anything to add there, Kate?
No, I think you covered it pretty clearly, and it doesn't look like any questions from the audience, so they must understand it as well.
Okay, great.
All right, I will take back control here.
All right. And you know, while we're going through these troubleshootings, don't think that we're trying to, prevent you from contacting us or going to the forums for support. You can always do that. This is just kind of to help you to learn a little bit more about our work process, and helping you out to maybe see if you can troubleshoot it yourself as well.
Definitely. So can you see the presentation?
I can.
Perfect. So the next one we'll go through is you are receiving these sorts of warnings. These warnings generally occur on a 3D mesh, and the reason for that might be that a tetrahedral element has all of the nodes alongside the wall. So essentially a flat element. So one solution that you can try is to refine the mesh at the edges by setting your local mesh density of the CAD body itself. And another suggestion is to generate the mesh and go to the Tetra Advanced option, and then uncheck the Surface Mesh Optimization and Surface Mesh Matching dialog boxes. That's a mouthful. And then try rerunning the analysis. Another thing to just kind of keep aware of, I guess, for these sorts of warnings is to also verify when you run through the results, how do your results look? If they look okay and what you would expect and nothing looks skewed, then chances are your analysis is okay, and you can probably proceed forward with what you're working on there. Anything to add to that, Kristen?
No, that was explained pretty well. Really, we see a lot of users. The reason why we're presenting this is we see a lot of users, come to us on warnings within their log file. The analysis completed fine without any issues, but they see a warning in there and they become concerned on, is this affecting my results? Why is this happening? Why is it showing? Things like that. So, things like checking the mesh, checking things like that could help to reduce the risk of having a warning like that. But if it's there, it doesn't necessarily mean it's something to be concerned about. Like Kate was mentioning, review the results and take a look if it's really affecting it. If not, it shouldn't be an issue. Alternately, this is, we still go to the help files for the warnings. We don't have all the warnings and error messages referenced or memorized in our brains, right, Kate?
Not at all.
So if you go to the help files within Moldflow interface, even for Advisor, we have the warnings and errors listed there. All you have to do is go to the search feature in it and search for the error number or the warning number, and it starts to let you know and tell you kind of where to start on troubleshooting it. So if it's review the mesh or how it should look, the help files really go into great descriptions on those.
Thanks for that, Kristen.
Yep.
Next, and our last troubleshooting tip, everybody's favorite crash error report, or commonly referred to as a CER. Often you'll see first you get an errorsin.exe, so Synergy isn't responding, and then you receive this crash error report. A lot of times I think that there's an assumption that these go into a black hole and nobody looks at them. That isn't the case at all, but it is suggested that you fill it out step by step, so the details view here. What picks and clicks did you take, and then how for it to crash, and then also provide your email address and send the report. In addition to that, it is suggested, and we definitely highly suggest this, is to create a online support case with us. Reference the CER number that you are given, or if there are several, give those to us. Additionally, you'll see here that I have a screencast link. For those of you that don't know, a screencast is a recording. It takes a recording of the application that you're using. You can record this crash that you're receiving, and when you create your case, you can provide us the link that it gives you into the description, and then we can then try to replicate that on our end with the model that you also should provide us. And then from there, we will, in most cases, escalate that to our development team for them to also have a look. And they can also pull these CER reports from a tool that they have, and see how many times that it's happened with the same user and whatnot, and then we can work together to help resolve the issue.
Yeah, I think the key there is it's not a black hole that they go into. Our developers do monitor this. If they see a trend of several users experiencing the same background issue behind the error, then that's when they really take a look at it and see what's happening. Or they also look at criticality. So if someone's seeing this report very, very often, then that's when they could reach out to us in support, and they might ask us to reach out to you. So it could go both ways. You could contact us, or in some very rare cases where you're really seeing that error report happen very frequently, then we might come out and reach out to you on that.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, step-by-step guide on if you're able to reproduce it. If it's a one-off occurrence, if you saw the issue happen, send in the report, add your email address and details there. Go in, try it again if it doesn't happen again. It could have just been something corrupt in the background causing the error.
Yeah.
And after restarting it, then it could have reset it and resolved it on its own. So.
Yeah, perfect. Alrighty, so that is pretty much wraps it up for the 5 troubleshooting support issues that we received. We're almost done here, so thanks everybody for tagging along with us. Real quickly, we'll go into some troubleshooting tips and tricks. Before you start the analysis, it's always suggested to remove unused properties, purge your nodes, and then squeeze the matrix, especially if you've altered the mesh manually in any way. And then again, if you are experiencing an issue, can you replicate it? Have you restarted the software or computer? Are you able to isolate it? So if you have a hot runner system or cooling channels, step by step remove each of those. And then are you able to reproduce an issue on your computer or a different computer? So, in conclusion, we've brought to your attention the top 5 support issues that we receive in cases. In the event that you do run into these in the future, highly suggest that you maybe reference this PowerPoint or YouTube video when that goes live. And then, as always, you can reach out to us. We are more than happy to help. So for the additional resources we have here, some of the AKN articles, so the Autodesk Knowledge Network articles that we use, the online help system always, and then if you don't already have it, Screencast, highly recommend it. So you can download it and it's free to download. If there are any questions, we will open it up. It doesn't look like anybody had anything that they wanted to bring up, so we'll hang out here for a couple more minutes, and if not, we will give you back the rest of your day, and we'll see you next month. Actually, I don't think we have another one until next year due to holidays, for Moldflow anyways. But if you have CFD, Mechanical, or Nastran, we have a couple of those coming up.
And thanks again for joining us today.
Thanks, Harold. We love that you join these. Thank you for coming all the time and providing feedback in our forum post. We appreciate it.
Yeah, again, everyone, the forums are great. We even keep an eye on those as well. So if you have any additional questions after this webinar, feel free to reach out to us via the forums as well. And we'll keep an eye on the Moldflow Insight and Advisor ones just to see if any questions come in on that.
Thanks for joining, everyone. So we'll go ahead and wrap this up. If it doesn't look like there's anything else, so have a great day, and we'll see you next year.